Hey everyone, it's Lexie. So in today's video I'll be doing my November wrap-up. So November was a really good reading month for me overall in general. I enjoyed almost all of the books I read. There was one book which was actually my book club pick that I did not end up liking, but other than that it was pretty good. I feel like a lot of these books actually were over 500 pages, so they were pretty big in bulk, and even though like it's only like 4, which is usually probably around my average, like I felt like I accomplished a lot because some of them were really big. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So I have a bit of a sore throat, so I apologize if my voice is a little bit funny or if it goes in and out, but yeah, my mom had a cold and she gave it to me, so I really appreciate that. But yeah, so I've just been enjoying some Santa's Secret from David's tea to kind of help soothe my throat a little bit, so I'll just take a little sip. Alrighty, all set. So starting out this month, I kind of started it like I did something where I stepped outside my comfort zone, and so I ended up picking up The Eighth Sister by Robert Dugoni, and this is like a modern spy thriller book essentially. And I don't really like the James Bond movies or like any of like the action ones. That's just not really the genre that I gravitate towards, even like movies. So this one was very much me stepping outside of my comfort zone. And the premise of this, it follows this man who retired from the CIA decades ago, and he's in his 60s, and he has a new kid on the way, a little accident there, but he's kind of struggling financially with his company because one of his clients isn't paying him, and so he's very struggling to make ends meet, especially with a new baby on the way. So kind of out of the blue, his former CIA kind of officer approaches him and asks him if he would participate in a new kind of case that's been going on, where he goes undercover in Russia to discover the eighth sister. And so in Russia, the CIA has hired women that are Russian citizens that will spy for America, and so they're known as the seven sisters. And so the eighth sister is someone who's been leaking this information to the Russian government, and they've been slowly kind of murdering the sister, so he has to go undercover and kind of figure that out. But I really like this actually. Robert Dugoni wrote the Tracy Crosswright series, which is a kind of crime series that I really enjoy. So this one, like, I knew I liked his writing style and all that, so I knew that was good, but just kind of the genre, I didn't know how I would feel with this kind of being like a spy action-y book, but I loved it. It was so fast-paced in the beginning. Like, it's a really good game of cat and mouse, and you kind of jump from different perspectives during all these action scenes. So I really enjoyed that, and like I said, I was pleasantly surprised. It kind of took like a screeching halt in like the last half of the book, which was, or like the last little part, which was kind of the court case, but it slowed down. But I really enjoyed this, so I actually, like I said, I was pleasantly surprised by this. And if you're not someone who really likes kind of the action-y spy movies, I actually, like me, like I said, I would actually give this one a try, because I actually really enjoyed it, and it was like so fast-paced, like I really enjoyed it. So I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. Next, I ended up picking up the Tales and Teacups book club picks for the months of November and December, which was Little Women, and this was the bane of my existence for 2 weeks. I did a reading vlog of my experience reading this, and you guys will know that it was a struggle. I would have DNF'd it if it wasn't my book club pick, because then it held me accountable. And previously, like, I've never really had a good kind of history or track record with classics, but I really wanted to try and step outside my comfort zone, especially with the movie coming out. But yeah, this one just wasn't for me. I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars. I understand why a lot of people really love this series, or like love this book, and it's near and dear to their heart. I understand that, but it just wasn't for me. I think just the writing style didn't really click with me, and the characters, like, I just didn't find them very likable. Yeah, and they all really annoyed me, so, because they all talk about being poor, and like they complain about it throughout the entire 500 plus pages of it. So like, there is no character development in terms of that, but I still feel like I will enjoy the movie a little bit better, because I feel like they can kind of touch on these things and make the characters a little bit more likable. And I rewatched the trailer after reading the book, and so some of like the main like scenes are in there, and I like the way they kind of presented them in the trailer, but trailers can be deceiving, but I have high hopes for the movie, so despite not liking the book, I'm still willing to give the movie a shot. Next, I ended up picking the final book in the Renegade series, which is Supernova by Marissa Meyer. And for those of you who don't know, this is a fantasy series that's almost similar to The Incredibles in that people have superpowers, and like a decade ago, there was a war between the people with superpowers. There was the renegades who believed that the people with powers should be the ones in charge, and then the anarchists, which are the ones that are like, we don't have, like, we just want to be accepted, like we don't need to be in a power position. And so this kind of takes place 10 years after the fact, with the renegades winning, and Nova is someone who is an anarchist, and she ends up going undercover in the renegades to kind of help overthrow them, and it kind of takes off from there. I can't really discuss too much about the plot in here, but I think out of the trilogy, this one is by far my favorite. For the first two books, a lot of the characters, like the main character of Nova, who's an anarchist, and Adrian, who is a renegade, it was very much for them black and white, like there's right and wrong, and there's never any gray. But this book really kind of explores the characters, kind of realizing that, you know, both sides, they may, you know, have different viewpoints on things, but they're ultimately fighting for the same thing, and there's no, like, everything is a mix of gray. It's not so cut, like precisely cut, like good and wrong, like good and bad and all that. So I really liked this one. I really loved the conclusions in here. There was some really kind of action-packed little parts in here that I really enjoyed. I do find, like, kind of like, even with like the Marvel movies, I think like the outfits and everything, I find that to be a little cheesy. So like this kind of had that little cheese factor in it, but it wasn't like, you know, comic book-esque. But I really liked it. Like I said, I really loved that progression, and for me, like, I didn't have a side that I was like 100% on. Like, I'm like, okay, I agree with both their viewpoints, but I don't agree how they're executing it. But all in all, I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. It did a really good conclusion, and that epilogue ended on a cliffhanger, and I'm like, how can they just end it like that? So I'm curious to see if there'll be a spin-off series from this, so who knows, but I really love this trilogy, so give it a try. Actually, like I said, this one for me is very much stepping outside my comfort zone, and if you like The Incredibles, I think you guys will like this one as well. And lastly, me and my aunt ended up finishing Lilac Girls by Martha Hall Kelly, and this was our book club pick that we ended up reading basically, I want to say since August or September, so it kind of dragged out. It took us a while to read this, but basically this was a book that I read when it first came out, I want to say around 2 years ago maybe, and I really enjoyed it the first time around, but it was just one, I think just it kind of just got forgotten on my shelf, and I like rereading this again with my aunt made me realize how amazing this book is, and I'm kind of like kicking myself because, you know, this is definitely one of my favorite historical fiction novels. So basically the premise of this, it follows 3 women over the course of World War II, and so we follow Caroline, who is a socialite in New York, and then we also follow Kazia, who is a Polish woman who gets captured by the Germans and is sent to Ravensbrück, which was the only women's concentration camp, and they did medical experiments on them. And then there's Herta, who was one of the doctors at Ravensbrück, and their stories all intertwine. But I forgot, like, there's something about this author's writing style that totally like draws you in, and I like, we would do like 50-page reading increments in here, and like I would be like sucked in and be like, oh my god, I have to stop reading because I read a little bit over. Like that's how you know it's a good book, when you're so like absorbed and focused in it. And I think you guys would really like this. I don't see a lot of people talk about this book on BookTube, and I was one of those, and I'm kicking myself for it. But like definitely give this one a try. It definitely is up to the standard of like The Nightingale and all the other popular historical fiction books that have come out recently. So this one is definitely a really good read, and I obviously gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. So that's it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what books you read this month and all of that fun stuff. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.